Awesome. Okay, so we're live. Thank you so much to everyone who's here and to all of our panelists and our moderator. It's really wonderful that we can spend some time today chatting about connecting to the outdoors. Oh, sorry, I'm getting YouTube feedback. That's really awkward. Okay, there we go. All of the proper mute buttons are hit. I just wanted to note that it was completely coincidental that we planned the Connecting to the Outdoors panel to fall on St. Patrick's Day, but I do love a theme, so I'm happy that we can spend some time chatting about things that are green on this that is very, very green. So welcome everyone. I'm Taylor. I'm from Belonging Brant, and I worked with a group of community and agency partners from.
No, it's
God,
I'm having a hard time with that.
That would be fantastic. Thank you. So yeah, we're really excited about this. The symposium obviously looks really different this year, and we're really glad to be able to hold this virtual space together and to engage with a number of very brilliant, creative, and playful, and really resilient community connectors and community builders from both our local area and far beyond. So, big thank yous to those folks, and also big thank yous to our community partners and to the Ontario Trillium Foundation. As we start this conversation today about connecting and about asset-based community development, and also about being outside and being on the land, it's really crucial that we ground ourselves in the histories and futures that are a part of this space where we currently sit and play and live. So across this amazing digital network that we've cultivated, there are numerous stories of land and treaties and stewardship. As the hosts, we're located on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral peoples. This land is part of the Haldimand Tract and is captured within the 2-row Wampum Belt Covenant and Dish with One Spoon Treaty. These treaties instruct us to honor the original peoples of this land as stewards of this space, to embrace and celebrate the ecology and natural networks that grow here, and to live lives of peaceful non-interference. We encourage each of you to become familiar with the treaties and the nations of the land where you live, in order to more wholly inform the work that you do and to deeply connect with the concepts of community that we're discussing today. We'd also really love it if folks are willing to share a bit about where you're coming from today in the comments, and we'd also love to know how you found out about this event. We want to acknowledge the lineage of disability justice advocates whose work for the cultivation of more inclusive online spaces has informed many of the ways that we're able to easily connect and gather today. We're grateful to the generations of thinkers and activists who came before us to instruct and inform the resources, accessibility tools, and the social distancing techniques that have become a lifeboat to our communities during these distance times. We also just want to say that we encourage participation in this space. So use the chat to engage, hit those reaction buttons, and definitely feel free to unmute and participate in the Q&A portion of this Zoom. And also use the comments if you're joining us from YouTube. With that in mind, though, I just want to remind everyone once again to try your best to stay muted while other folks are talking. And without further ado, let me pass things off to this morning's incredible moderator, Sarah. Sarah is a brilliant, kind, and imaginative community developer. She's a fan of plants and also—
Oh, geez.
So welcome, Sarah. I'll turn things over to you.
Thank you, Taylor. And Chris, I feel the same way. That was a very generous introduction, so thank you very much. Welcome to everybody that is here today. And thank you very much to our panelists, who I'm going to introduce shortly. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to share with you all my screen, and we're going to get started. So, as we have said, this is connecting to the outdoors. Oops, a daisy. Hold on a second. Let's just go back a little bit. So today's the panel discussion, as Taylor had said, about connecting to the outdoors. We plan on discussing ways that we can connect with play and connect to the outdoor spaces, as well as outdoors becoming such a powerful site of connection, particularly this last year through pandemic times. So with us today, joining us is Tara, and she is the Executive Director of GROWE, the Grand River Outdoor Wilderness Education Outdoor School, which offers a number of outdoor educational experiences for all ages and abilities. Their weekly outdoor school is a blessing to all families that are enrolled. Come to GROWE and grow closer to nature with us. And I'd like to point out, this is their website. In some of our materials and promotion, it has been incorrect. So I just wanted to make sure that this is, everybody knows that that is where you can get in touch with the GROWE School. And this is Duncan, and he is a passionate leader of outdoor recreation and conservation. He is a longtime board member and volunteer with the Brant Waterways Foundation as a founding member and past president of the Brant Cycling Club. Duncan led a number of initiatives, including construction of the Brantford Rotary Bike Park and 20 years experience in the insurance industry, which I think that's also going to come in handy today. He is well versed on risk management, strategic planning, and governance. Duncan competes at an elite level also in a variety of endurance sports and is a two-time qualifier for Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii. That is amazing. And our last panelist is Sheena Yarek. Snyder, and she started with the County of Brant in 2015 as an accessibility advisor. Most recent role with the County of Brant is a supervisor of public transportation and accessibility services, and was the lead staff on the Sensory Trail project beginning in 2019, consultation and grant application with the consultation and grant application. And in Sheena's personal life, she spends a lot of time enjoying outdoors with her dogs, gardening, and enjoying the summer evenings by a fire. So those are our panelists that will be helping us to discuss connecting outdoors. So I'm going to stop my share in a moment. These are the questions that we are going to pose to the panelists. And like Taylor said, we're going to have a time for question period later on. So please save up your questions or type them in the chat box, and we'll definitely get to all of those questions. We'll also have a time at the end to have breakout sessions where we can discuss what we've heard today. Okay, so we're going to start with So I think we're going to start with Sheena. And so the first question is, what sparked or led you to the work of connecting outdoors?
Specifically for the Sensory Trail project, the Deaf Blind Association in Paris, now known as Sensity, approached the County of Brant, and we requested that they made a presentation to our Accessibility Advisory Committee on kind of what they were looking for and presenting the idea. And then we loved the idea. So then we pushed it to council, planned to put money in the budget. And then that's when we applied for the grant to get additional funding for that. You're on mute, Sarah.
Sorry, I'm never going to get used to that.
That's okay.
Duncan, what led you, or what sparked you or led you to the work of connecting outdoors? Your bio, I think, led to a little bit of that too in your personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd have to take a little bit of a step back and excuse me, it was back in 2006. I was living in Ottawa at the time, and I had finished playing lacrosse and hockey and all that kind of stuff. And Ottawa is a very active community. And so I got into jogging, which led me into cycling and kind of onwards from there. And I got to live in a lot of great cities after that, including Calgary and Vancouver, Victoria, which obviously are great outdoor communities. And so just got to see how those areas embrace this type of outdoor activity. So moving back to Brantford in 2010, I was getting refamiliar with the area. I grew up here, of course, and just amazing recreational infrastructure that we have in this area. A lot of that with regards to the Grand River watershed. And so I was exploring that area, and one of the trails that I ended up on was the TH&B rail trail, which is paved out in West Brant, out to the Brant County line. And I just loved the trail. It was really beautiful. It was accessible for a lot of individuals. And so I started looking into that a little bit more to find out how I could get involved. It was an area that I really loved using for recreation, and I wanted to get involved and give back to the community. And so that's how I found the Brant Waterways Foundation, and therefore got involved with that organization, which has done an incredible amount over its 33 years in the community of helping to fund projects that connect people with the outdoors. So yeah, I would say it's that TH&B rail trail that really got me going here in Brantford.
Thank you. And Tara, what sparked or led you to your amazing work of helping families and children connect to the outdoors?
I'll try and make it short and sweet, but I could probably talk about this for half an hour. So I grew up on a farm 15 minutes south of Paris. Grew up on a farm. My dad took us wilderness camping, which back in the 70s, it was real wilderness camping. Sleeping in the back of a pickup truck, using stumps as our little tables, being eaten alive by mosquitoes, hoping the bears don't eat us alive, and just living or camping rough and living free on a farm. So my dad had a big part in my childhood. And then when I was a teenager, I was like, get me the hell out of here. So I moved out west and I traveled the world for 17 years. And then when I had my daughter, I moved back. And that's the thing, you never know where life is going to take you. So I raised my daughter, wanted to raise my daughter close to my family. And it sparked a whole new love for my own backyard. And so I went back to school the same time my daughter started kindergarten. I ended up doing my co-op at Grand River Rafting. And from there, everything has exploded for me. Another huge person in my life is Garth Patra from Grand River Rafting. He's my business mentor, and he'll contest that I get a hold of him on a very regular basis. And I'm sure most of you have heard that name or that business before. So Garth introduced me to the property of Five Oaks through working for his company and supervising Grand River Rafting. And I came to Five Oaks, beautiful place, 116 acres, Whiteman's Creek, Grand River, flowing all around it. That's our borders. And I came here exploding with ideas as I do, and I started doing hikes and things like that. And then I started doing outdoor PD days and camps. And then just to backtrack, my whole life I've wanted to make a difference in the world and change the world. And I would get really frustrated in my early years of what to do to make a real difference, to make a positive impact on the world. And because I'm a bit of an environmentalist as well. And so once I had my daughter, it was like these stepping stones laid out in front of me, and watching my daughter grow up, who is now 10 and a half, going on, who knows, 15 or whatever it is. And watching my daughter grow and trying to help her grow and experience the childhood that I experienced, which is a lot more challenging these days, which is what we'll be talking about, I'm sure. I realized that the way to change the world is through the children. Unfortunately, adults seem to be set in their ways, and a lot of us don't like change. But if we nurture the children to fall in love with nature, then that's going to impact future generations. So my daughter Holly is my inspiration. So I went to a PD day for educators and at the Guelph Outdoor School. And I looked around, and me being me, I was like, hey, I can do this. And so I started my outdoor school at Five Oaks in 2019 in September. I started with 12 children, and now I have, and that was on one day. Now I have a wait list, and I'm 4 days a week. I have a wait list. I have 2 full-time employees, and because of the wait list, I may have to work 5 days a week. Not something I was expecting. And I feel extremely blessed. And like I said, in my kind of short bio in the beginning, is that a lot of parents thank me deeply from their heart on a daily basis to bring this to their children. You know, when I first started, I had no idea that I would be, you know, running and starting a business during a pandemic, which has been very challenging, as any business owner can say during this time. But for me, there's nothing more satisfying than the heartfelt thanks from the children and the parents. And I know that I'm definitely making a difference in these children's lives and our community's lives. And also during this pandemic, I am helping their mental health and their physical health. And yeah, so that's what brought me here.
Thank you so much, Tara. And actually, that's a perfect transition to our next question. You already led right into it. That was beautiful. So the next question is, and Tara, we'll start with you because I think that makes the most sense because you already started down that road. Obviously, we've been through a very interesting year where connecting outdoors was even more important and more front of mind. How have you seen folks connect outdoors during this time? And have you seen it in unexpected ways of connecting with us and the outdoors? Feel free to share stories or things you've observed.
Well, as a okay, let me just think of where to start here. So much to say. So I'm a big advocate of nature mentorship. So it's not about, you know, in my day, shove the kids out the door and, you know, come back for dinner. We have to mentor our children to get outside as a family, get outside as a community, mentor the children instead of shoving them in front of a screen. And what I saw from my own family, you know, these times, you know, we were doing a lot of things that we normally do. But I saw a lot of people like having trouble thinking of what to do. And in our excursions around hiking the trails, going to the beach in the winter, which is something I actually would not normally do. And I saw people, families out there enjoying our backyard in ways that they wouldn't have before. And which was really awesome to see that, you know, just a simple walk or taking some birdseed and trying to feed the birds, or walking the beach in the freezing cold wind, things like this, people were doing that they wouldn't normally do, which brings me to something that I'm very passionate about, and what we really pride ourselves here at the outdoor school is unstructured play and unstructured activity. And that's not only for kids, that's for adults too. We are so overstructured. Children are so overstructured. Everything is laid out in a time frame. They go to lessons, they go to school, they're in front of screens, and they don't have enough time, and we don't have enough time for unstructured just being. And I found that people were forced into that. And it's very important for unstructured, and I'll speak towards children, because when children are left to be unstructured and free, then they tend to explore their surroundings more, and they build aspects of their personality that they wouldn't normally build or grow if everything is structured. Everything's they're told everything to do. Everything is done for them. And I see this on a daily basis here at school. You know, they don't even want to try twice to do something. Okay, I can't do this, do it for me. And when they have this freedom outside to explore and fall and take risk, they're building aspects of their personality, which brings me to that during these times, we need to raise critical thinkers to be able to think critically in this changing world. And kids are so tightly duct taped in this box that they are not becoming critical thinkers. And it is going to be so important in their future to be able to navigate unknown situations, absolutely unknown. And so the simplicity, we tend to overthink. So the simplicity of children being free, like the freedom I had in the wilderness up north, and the freedom I had on my farm, and back in, you know, the 70s and early 80s, it fosters critical thinking, and you learn to navigate your surroundings. And I think that, or I'm hoping that, because of, you know, I always try and think on the positive side. It just comes naturally to me, but I feel like hopefully us as adults can make some change into the future, that this situation that we've been enduring for the last year can help us to change, to understand what wasn't working, and what hopefully what will help our children to be able to navigate these situations in the future.
That's great. Thank you, Tara. I couldn't agree more. Risky play. I know there's lots of people in the room that are familiar with that, and helping with critical thinking and development. And I would say for everybody is critical and important. So thank you. We have a food session tomorrow evening at 6:30. You may want to join in as a fun. There's outdoor food there. So as Risha would say, shameless plug. Sheena, so I'm going to ask you next, what, you know, this past year, you know, how have you seen your trail, the sensory trail being used with folks connecting outdoors? Have you seen unexpected things? Has anything surprised you from the last year, or?
Just give me a second. I think this is a great time to share my screen so that I can talk specifically to what the trail looks like for those people that don't know. Okay, is that working?
So I cannot see the picture. So can anyone else see? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I guess the idea originally behind the trail, because it came from Sensity, previously known as the Deaf Blind Association, was for people who are deaf, blind, seeing impaired, to be able to navigate the trail independently. So right from the parking lot, you can see that we have the tactile warning indicators to cross the road, and then we have the footprints. So the footprints we put in there because not everybody using the trail, because we call it the all persons sensory trail, because we want it to be for adults and children and people with disabilities. So right from the parking lot, we make it fun so people can, or kids or adults can walk on the animal prints, use their imagination to kind of get over there. And then in the next picture, you see the start of our trail, which is the sign. And from the beginning, I want to thank our partners that helped us with this. So the Government of Canada, the Brant Waterways Foundation, who also provided funding for the paving of this trail and elements along it, and Sensity for the idea, collaboration, and the ongoing support. So Alicia is at the sign, and basically it says to use the rope to guide yourself, and then it gives instructions, and then the same exact information is in that white panel in Braille for those that need Braille to navigate. Got to get to my next slide, which I'm not. Okay, give me a minute. So along the trail, you can see the guide rope. So those people who do need instruction to get or like guide themselves through the trail have the option to use the rope along the trail. Oh, tell me if it's not showing.
It's good. No, it's good.
Along the trail, there are posts. On the top of the post, it indicates what's there in Braille, and also a tactile sign or visually for those who need it. And this is all the way along the trail. Where there's an opening, on the sign, we talk about the black clamp that indicates an opening. And then where there's the black clamp plus a bead, that means there's something for you to interact with. Okay. We wanted to keep the trail bright, fun, and for everybody. And the biggest surprise that I've seen is the adults interacting with the musical elements. So this trail is used all the time because it goes into Barker's Bush, it goes through Lions Park, but the adults going by that are playing with the stuff. It's not just families using it. They stop, they play a song, they check it out. And the amount of adults asking, what's going on? What's this for? And then explaining it to them. That's been the biggest surprise, I would think, for this project. So we put those Acorn seats in. This was something I was really excited about. They fit in with nature, they're tactile, and as you can see, the owl footprints that are out front of them, just something fun to add to it as an additional element. But this area of the trail, you can sit and listen to the birds, feed the birds. We worked with the Sensity residents to create bird houses, so they can go visit the spot, look for their birdhouse. You can listen to the birds. You can bring bird seed. So that is kind of where you can just rest and be part of nature. That's a thanks to Brant Waterways for funding for that. The safety pad around it is to create different surfacing, which is a sensory experience in itself. And then the B is very tactile. You can sit on it, it's bright. That was the idea behind that. And then another tactile experience, but this is for all the senses. And this is new coming this year. We're going to put some herbs and flowers in planter boxes so you can touch soft things like the lamb's ear. You can touch basil and smell your hands. Again, to be a sensory experience in all sorts of ways. Just the amount of people using it and interested in this trail has been the biggest surprise, and not necessarily those who have a disability that was designed for, has been our greatest success. And that's it.
Great, thank you. So could you give a direction to the trail, Sheena? How would folks get there?
Oh, it's Lions Park in Paris is where it is. So on Laurel Street. And the reason we picked that location, opposed to, say, the park on Green Lane, because that has a lot of great nature aspects as well, is because if we intend for people to navigate the trail independently who would be deafblind or seeing impaired. There's also disc golf going on there, which was a safety concern. And there's also a wonderful park in Burford. But because Paris already has so much, this can be a destination park. So you can come specifically for the sensory trail, but then you can also play in the park, and you can also play baseball, and you can also go to the pool in the warmer months. So this location, even though it's not a loop, and that's what we originally wanted, this is why it was chosen, to make it a destination, so that there's more to do than just walk on this trail.
Thank you. Awesome. It's an awesome trail. Thank you. Duncan, so how have you experienced folks, connecting with the outdoors in unexpected ways this year? Has anything surprised you, or any stories to share?
Yeah, no, I've definitely been pleasantly surprised by the number of folks that I've seen out using the trails. I'm going to come back to that if I can just for a second, because I did really want to thank Sheena for that explanation of the sensory trail. And from the Brant Waterways perspective, I'm just going to do my little plug a little bit for the Waterways Foundation, because we work with user groups and other organizations, municipalities, to fund projects that connect people with the waterways. And so when we received a grant application for this trail, the board really was blown away, because it was one of those innovative things that we haven't seen before, and it reaches out to a segment of the population and a demographic that could really use some of this stuff to connect them with the outdoors. So I just wanted to reiterate that we were really blown away. I think it's fantastic. I'm down there in Lions Park and Barker's Bush all the time, and I see the people using it as a really, really cool addition to that area, which I think is going to be a central spot for Paris and surrounding areas for people to congregate. In the Brant Waterways, this was one of the projects through our recent campaign that we funded. Over the years, we funded more than $5 million for projects in Brantford and Brant County and Six Nations as well, over the 33 years I think it's been that the foundation's been in existence. So well done, Sheena, and to your team on that one, because we thought that was really incredible. So going back to the question at hand here with regards to connecting outdoors and what we're seeing is changing, I'm going to take it from a little bit of a trails specific perspective, if I may. And again, as I mentioned, we're so lucky in this area to have a significant amount of outdoor recreational infrastructure. Brantford and Brant County is known as the hub of Ontario trails. And so the one really unique thing that we have is 3 major rail trail connectors coming in and meeting in downtown Brantford. So you can go north up to Cambridge and Kitchener-Waterloo. You can go east to Hamilton or south down to Port Dover, all off-road on nice, flat, level, accommodating trail, which is pretty incredible. Of course, we've got the Grand Valley Trail Association footpath that goes along the Grand River. So, that and all kinds of other great infrastructure that we have. And I'm out there quite a bit, pretty much every day. Using the trails myself. And through the pandemic, absolutely, just anecdotal evidence of, my observations is the trail, demand for trails has been booming. So, I would say, walking, running, cycling, all kinds of those things, rollerblading on the paved trails, kids on scooters, skateboards, just everything you can imagine, people using the rivers as well. We consider those to be a trail, a river trail, so paddling and things of that nature. So there's no question that, demand is astronomical right now as we're going through the pandemic. It has been, growing worldwide, I would say, active living and things of that nature over the last number of years as well anyways, but the pandemic has certainly accelerated that quite a bit. So, some of the unique ways that I've experienced folks, and again, this stuff has been around for a while, but I've been seeing an uptick in it. It was mentioned there, the Frisbee golf or the frolfing is huge. And I really encourage people to go check that out. So Frisbee in a golf format, they have it out at the park in Paris on Green Lane, as well as in Mohawk Park in Brantford. And, a really unique way of interacting, getting out there and being active. Geocaching, we've got some other things, birding, I've seen a lot of people outside playing hockey, on ice rinks, and ice fishing and all that. So pretty much everything that you can name, people have been doing more and more. One of the things too that really I was impressed with was when the pandemic hit, a lot of organizations that were able to take their indoor exercise classes and take those into parks. And so to continue people being active, but being able to obviously operate within provincial guidelines for the COVID protocols and whatnot. So that was one thing that I think was really interesting. And I'm going to do a little bit of a segue here, I guess, probably to the next question, because it does lead into, what is trending. But, with all of that increase in demand from various user groups, whether it's cyclists, runners, hikers, whatever it may be, there's no question about it that we've had increased demand, which is fantastic. And it'll be interesting to see if that continues to keep up, or post-pandemic, does it go down to, its previous numbers? I suspect that, that trend, and I certainly hope that people are going to continue getting outside and utilizing those trails. But it does present a little bit of a challenge. And this is something that we've been seeing happening in user group conflict. And so when you have this significant amount of people going out and wanting to use this recreational infrastructure, we need to keep up with the demand by providing more supply of trails. And that's something that the Waterways Foundation is big on. And I'm also involved with the Brant Cycling Club, who is big on, again, building that infrastructure, and in particular, mountain bike single track trails. So specifically designated trails for the mountain bikers, which what that does is allows them, to get off of the other trails essentially, so that if somebody's looking to go for a nice leisurely walk, a multi-use trail is perfect for them. You don't want bikes necessarily flying by, and cyclists aren't really looking for that experience in all cases. Maybe they would like to be in the woods on a narrow trail in a forest. And so that's one of the big things that I see moving forward is just being able to keep up with that demand. But it has been absolutely inspiring and really great to see all the folks that are out there and using the trails and getting out in nature.
That's great. Thank you so much. I think I have a little mini question. I learned so much. First of all, I've never heard the word frolfing. I don't know if anyone else has, or maybe I'm the last person to hear that word. So I love that. That's golf and Frisbee together, right? And I think that's awesome. So what's coming to my mind, you listed so many activities, all of you, so where are the best places? How do people connect into those groups? I know I heard yesterday from a neighborhood association that said more people are attending these groups, but how do geocachers, is there one central place people can look, or people, that's just a curiosity I'm having after what you said, Duncan, so.
So there's various groups out there, or associations or clubs. So as an example, the cycling club. So if you're interested in cycling, I highly recommend checking out the Brant Cycling Club, whether it's road riding or mountain biking, we represent cycling. There's various running groups that are out there and whatnot. So, if you're interested, I like to think of the Brant Waterways Foundation as sort of an organization that represents all of the user groups. So feel free to reach out. Our board of directors knows, all the folks in the community that can connect you with the right groups. But, that's a really good point, is how do people connect? And I think that I'd love to see more of that in the community, where these user groups get together and welcome people in, so that people aren't off doing it on their own. And it can really help accelerate somebody's enjoyment, because as you can imagine, if you're getting into a new sport, sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating, whereas when these folks are available to sort of help you learn, find the spots where it's best to go, that can really help out quite a bit and make it more accessible to folks. So feel free to reach out to the Waterways as a potential organization that can connect you with whatever your interest is.
That's great. Thank you so much. So Tara, the same question. So, what are you seeing? Obviously, you said you have a wait list. So what are your dreams moving forward? You have shared a little bit about your dreams. I'd love to hear more. And so what do you think are trending for outdoor schools, forest schools, which I just am in love with? What do you see?
Mute myself here. First, I'd like to, before I talk about the school, all of this just shows how important our wild spaces are. and that we need to, you know, think about that balance of keeping our wild spaces as well as, you know, structured outdoor spaces. And because nature is always there. I think that's what's taught us. That's what we've been taught, is that no matter what, Mother Nature is always there for us. And we can go, and obviously everyone was drawn to outdoors, not only for an activity, but because it made them feel good. And so it lends itself to connecting to yourself, connecting to your family, connecting to your community, connecting to nature, which we're a part of. And I know, and most people that I talk to about this, is that when you have an experience outside with someone, you feel connected to that person. You feel closer to that person. I know different expeditions I've done, or experiences I've had outdoors, I feel the people that I've had that experience with, I feel a connection. And whenever I think back on those experiences, I think of those people, and I will always be connected to them because of the experience we had together in nature. And I believe it's because of nature. It's not we had an experience in the living room, or, you know, in the movie theater or whatever. We pushed our limits. It felt good. We felt free. We were having a real experience, and it reaches almost a spiritual level, but it's which kind of makes me think of like the mental health of being outside as well, is very important. So what I see, or what I would love to see in all schools, is that we need to start understanding that children need more time outside, and for their mental health and physical health and spiritual health as well. And so not only and like I said, my wait list is showing me that parents understand that. And after a recent conversation, my daughter actually goes to public school. After a recent conversation with her school, they're actually bringing back more recess, because they realize that making a child sit at a desk is actually detrimental to the child, the classroom, and the whole school. So I'm hoping that moving forward, because of all of our experiences of being out in nature more during this past year and understanding how good it felt and feels, that this is a very important thing for the future of our children, is to get them outside more. So in our school days here at GROWE, we are outside all day from 8:30 till 4. We're very blessed on this property to have various indoor spaces. So if it is, you know, they're soaking wet, we come in to eat and then they dry off. And then they can, if it's like freezing cold, we can come in. We have an indoor toilet, which is nice. We don't always have to do a nature pee. So, and just giving them that, you know, that balance. And that's the thing, when they're in school or online learning and sitting for long periods of time inside in front of screens, the balance, most of the kids are actually in school and they're pulled out one day a week. And the feedback from the parents and through the parents from the teachers and the principal are like, wow, where did this kid come from? Like complete personality and behavioral changes in these children, because they're given one day to be a kid and connect to themselves and through nature and being active and risky play and with risk management, of course. But I think moving forward, I'm really hoping that not only parents, because I think parents can see it firsthand, but all the way up to the school boards can understand the importance of kids getting outside. And the statistics are there. They've been there for a while. The experience is there. We just have to push for for change. And yeah, I feel very blessed, and I feel honored actually that I am able to bring this to our community. And I have lots of plans and dreams do come true, because this has been what I'm doing right now with my outdoor school has been my dream since I was 7 years old. And sometimes I just shake my head and like, is this really happening? And it took my whole life to get here, but I feel that is more necessary now than ever. And so I'm hoping to build my school and potentially, yeah, I don't know if I want to let the lid off the box right now, but it will grow. It's going to grow, and it's, you know, and I don't even need to push it to grow, because the families, the communities see the value in it. And I feel, like I said, honored that I can bring this to the community. So hopefully I can provide more school, outdoor school days. One little girl, she named it, I don't want to go to indoor school. I want to come every day. So they're leading it, just like how we do here. The children lead the day. We don't force them into things. They lead and we follow. And I'm leading they're saying, I want to come more. I want to have more days. The parents are, you know, backing up the children and me. I feel very supported. And so hopefully we'll be expanding and providing more indoor, outdoor school days. So, yeah.
Lovely. Well, I think it's inevitable. You named it GROWE, Tara. So it only makes sense that it is. And you have so many wonderful, actually, all three of you have so many wonderful comments that are coming in here and also on YouTube about the work and the outdoor spaces that you're helping to advocate for. And I couldn't agree more. We all need to share with all schools and the powers that be that outdoor time is excellent. Yes, Duncan.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt there. I just
okay.
wanted to mention something popped in from Tara's comments there. And certainly, again, with the Waterways Foundation, one of our pieces is conservation as well. We strongly believe in the need to conserve our spaces. You know, Brant County is experiencing a tremendous amount of growth, which is not a bad thing. You know, we need growth and that's okay, but it's smart growth. And really with the Grand River watershed, which is such an incredible asset in this community, we really see a need to conserve some of that space. And I just wanted to mention, there's some other information. I can send some links for a really good presentation that I attended, but the provincial government is currently looking at growing the Greenbelt legislation and area into this area to preserve some of the moraines that we have north of the area. So it's a great opportunity for that Greenbelt legislation. If you have comments or feedback from that, to you know, research some of that information that's happening right now, because that is something that can really have a very positive impact on the green spaces and conservation in this area.
So we've just posted some links. Yes, we've been asked to post links so that people can reach out to different organizations. So if anybody has links, you can too post in the chat. We can gather those and share them all from the chat if you put them in there, and share them with the whole symposium. So that would be great to share so that we all have access to those things. So Sheena, I wanted to ask you, you know, how have you seen people connecting differently on your sensory trail this past year? And has anything surprised you? Oh, no, sorry, we're not there, are we? No, we're at the next question. Sorry, guys. What are the trends you're seeing?
Trending, from like just my personal experience during the last year, I've definitely second what Duncan has said. There's so many people accessing the outdoor space and on the trail and walking their dog and getting dogs and doing family things outside. And as a regular gardener, last year there was a shortage of seeds. They were sold out everywhere. And everybody all of a sudden became like a backyard gardener, which is so awesome to see. And like being proud of what they're growing for the first time and people like posting it. And I've seen that really spike, which has been amazing. Because that's been something I've been doing since I was a little girl, because I grew up on a farm. I had a grandmother that had a massive garden. So that's been a passion of mine my whole life. So seeing people get into it for the first time has been really cool to see, along with baking all kinds of bread and that kind of stuff, and harvesting what they do in their garden and possibly preserving it. I've seen that trend and been a spike in the last year, which has been awesome. You're still on mute.
I'll figure it out eventually. And then we won't have to use Zoom anymore as soon as I figure it out. Probably how it's going to work. Well, thank you all. So we're at that time. We're going to do some breakouts, I believe, so that we can sort of talk in smaller groups with each other about things that we have heard or want to advocate for. I mean, I heard some advocacy in there, or things that we are dreaming about. So whatever your group wants to do.
Sarah, let's flip it to a larger Q&A first so we can keep the screen up, and then we'll do some breakouts.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay, sounds good. So if everybody wants to, so we're just going to do some group Q&A. So what is everybody, how are we feeling about those discussions? I'm just looking in the chat to see.
If I could I just saw a question just pop up, and that's something I wear many hats actually. And someone said about hiking on the property of Five Oaks. I'm actually an interpretive guide as well, both on the river through Grand River Rafting, and I do interpretive hikes. So I teach about wild medicinal plants, and also connecting to nature. And I teach the Indigenous their knowledge of how I know what the plants are used for and things like that. And yeah, I did quite a few hikes over this past year, smaller groups. And one group in particular that made me really, it was a family of older children and their husbands and the older mother. And at one point, the mother and me were crying. I'm a crier. And so her experience with me in the forest had brought her to tears. And it was very touching. So I just can't stress enough. So yeah, the person said, at this point, I'm not sure if you can just come to Five Oaks and go for a hike, but if you reach out to me, I have kind of two websites, one for my school and then a link on Grand River Rafting's website. And then I do interpretive hiking as well on the property.
Great. Yes, their labyrinth is beautiful. If you're able to get to that. I've done it several times and it's just absolutely stunning and relaxing. So yeah, I would recommend. Any other questions? You can put your hands up or in the chat.
There's a few in the chat. I can read this one out. I found nature to be a sense of solace and an opportunity to reflect on life or cultural events in a new way while enjoying nature on my own. I've also seen the joy that's sparked when people enjoy nature together while writing about Monarch Butterfly Fest fairs with games made from repurposed materials and native plants and vegetable gardens at local businesses. How can we create spaces where people feel comfortable with both solo and group nature discovery, particularly as we adapt to the pandemic?
Anybody want to?
So I guess it's like, I know one time we went to a trail and I have a brother-in-law who had a stem cell transplant during this whole time and has leukemia. So, when we go to a trail and it was just packed with people, the parking lot, and I'm glad that they did reopen things, realizing there was a good move too, right? That realizing that we needed these spaces. But yeah, trying to find the balance in, okay, I want to go out into nature and find that solace and not have like 100 people walking down the trail with me, whether it takes away your peace or that's not your comfort level at this time. It is a balance. And that's why for me, it's important to have these structured outdoor spaces that are drawing people, but we need these wild spaces too, that people, that they're kind of, I don't know how to say it, like kind of let to explore nature to feel that other side of like the solace and the spiritual connection and the mental health aspect of connecting to nature, so you can actually hear the birds instead of like all the kids screaming, which I shouldn't be saying that because I can see them all coming in now. But yeah, there's a balance. I'm not sure what that is. That's part of a bigger conversation, obviously, but as a community, we have to, like I said, we have to keep the balance of our growing community population and understand that these wild spaces and trails and things are just as important.
I would agree with you. So a couple more questions coming in. Oh, sorry, Duncan. Yes, go.
That's okay. Yeah, I think I was just going to add to that, you know, really good points. And I think, how do we get more of these? I think that it's important for folks who are interested in these things to express that to your elected officials and let them know. Because if they don't hear this, then they don't know. And like so many things, I mean, they have a limited budget of what they're able to put their funds towards. And as we're seeing more and more people be interested in this and the demand to rise, we need to make sure that the funding is allocated towards these types of things. So I think that's an important process, to talk to your municipal councillors, let them know, the member of parliament, provincial parliament, and member of parliament, and as well, you know, feel free. One thing with the Brant Waterways is we're really working to expand our reach to connect with the community more, to understand what the various user groups want. So if you have ideas as to what you would like to see in order to, you know, preserve some of these spaces or to create new areas, feel free to reach out to the Waterways, because we really would like to act as that sort of central hub for all the various user groups. To then, you know, we have really good relationships with our municipal partners, elected officials, and we can kind of be the voice on behalf of everybody if you're interested in going that avenue.
Can I just make a comment?
Of course, Jim.
I'm sure there's a lot of people aware, or maybe you're not aware, that both the city of Brantford and the Brant County are in the process of doing their downtown plan for the area. And it has to do with the outdoor spaces and buildings, and it has to do with age friendly, so that this is a perfect time to address the town and the city on what they're doing, because they're right in the middle of all the input for it. So I believe Gagan Bata is the person in Brantford, and Alison Newton is one of the people here in Paris. So people should become aware of that. And actually in Paris, they've hired a consultant from Scotland to help them in the process, so that right now the outdoor spaces and buildings for the downtown in both cities are on the plate, so to speak.
Thank you, Jim. And I also know, be on the outlook, there's some questions along with that and the advocacy and what Duncan has shared, that municipalities and regions share input in regards to forestry. I know I went to one where I live, and it was talking about an urban forest strategy. So they ask for a lot of community engagement when municipalities or regions are looking for their nature spaces. So look, those are ways you can engage and advocate and give feedback in regards to different things. So with what Jim said too, if there's community engagement sessions, also your neighborhood associations are an excellent way. I agree with what Duncan's saying. The Brant Waterways Foundation is an excellent source, as your neighborhood associations might be a source for engagement through the city as well. They would have a direct line for those kind of participatory and citizen engagement pieces. Sheena, did you have any, not to put you on the spot, but to also hold space? Did you have anything you wanted to share in regards to that?
I was just going to say, like, a personal tip for somebody that wants to get outside and possibly not go during the big rush hour time. Just something to note, that when it's a beautiful day, everybody's going to be out there. So going for a walk, maybe when it's a light drizzle, or like motivating yourself to go when it's cloudy, you're not going to interact with as many people on the trail as you would on a beautiful sunny day when all the families are out, and explore different locations. So, like, as Duncan had mentioned, the county of Brant is full of trails. And as somebody who lives in Norfolk, there's tons of places you can start, you can stop. There's different towns where there's all kinds of trail systems. So pick somewhere new each time you go, or just go on a rainy day if you want the solace of being by yourself. That's kind of something I keep in mind when I go grocery shopping. You don't want the store to be so busy, go at dinner time when everybody else isn't there. So kind of just pick and choose when you want to go. Do you want to see people and say hi and pass everybody's dogs and families and wave? But if you want the solace of being by yourself, perhaps adjust your schedule so you can go on your own and enjoy nature.
And if your kids are in forest school and getting wet, they're going to be used to walking outside in the rain. There was a question about how to get involved in single track maintenance, Duncan. I know my partner does this actively in Niagara. So those passionate single, where can people in Brant region, Brant County reach out to?
Fantastic question. Yeah, so thank you for that. So what we are trying to do through the Brant Cycling Club and the Brant Waterways is also a supporter of this initiative. We do have a trail development and maintenance committee that we're working on. So the one thing that we don't have right now in this area is a stewardship agreement with our municipal partners to be able to go in and do that work. And we're actively in the process of coming up with that. So fingers crossed, we'll have that very, very soon to be able to go into, to utilize our volunteers and to go into and to help maintain the trails, build new trails, et cetera, et cetera. So the quick answer to that is, I would say, get in touch with the Brant Cycling Club. Let us know. We have a mailing list that we keep in touch with everybody. And we are planning this year, because we aren't able to do anything here locally per se. Although I shouldn't say that, because we do go down to the bike park, which is a project that we help fund and build, and we do maintenance there as well. So there's an opportunity. We'll be doing that this spring as soon as everything dries out. So feel free to come again, just touch base to the cycling club. The other thing that we are going to be doing through the Trail Development and Maintenance Committee is some of our neighboring municipalities, such as Turkey Point, Hamilton, Burlington Mountain Bike Association, Waterloo, and Woodstock. They all have trail networks in those committees, and we're going there to help out with their trail networks as well. So if you're interested in doing trail maintenance, we've got a lot of different opportunities, and locally, again, fingers crossed, we'll have something very, very soon.
Right. Yes, Jim? Oh, you're muted just like I am, or was.
Okay, there we go. In all of this that we've been talking about here, where do seniors fit in? And what are the provisions for accessibility for them? What about washrooms on trails and stuff like that? And drinking water, as we all need drinking water. So are those things being looked at in all these trails, or are they just on their own? Because seniors need to get out and do their thing too, and it's even more important for them.
Sheena, do you want to start with that? So how is the Sensory Trail age friendly? And what about hydration?
I'm going to say yes, it is age friendly, because we picked a portion of it that is paved. So you can, if you had a mobility device, definitely access that portion of the trail right from downtown, go through Lions Park, and then go on the portion of the Sensory Trail that's still paved, and then turn around and come back. And there is a public washroom in Lions Park that they can anybody can use, but it's paved, that portion. There isn't drinking water, so I would definitely encourage folks to bring a water bottle. I know there's other portions of the Brant County trail system that there's washrooms available near the parking lot, but not necessarily throughout the trail, as those would be difficult to get in, or would have to be more of like a porta potty style. So definitely encourage bringing drinking water when you go anywhere, not necessarily just in the county of Brant, but I would make you responsible for your own hydration.
Duncan, do you have something to share?
Yeah, I've just looked up because I was looking, I think that they used to have sort of an age, but now it just says for the active adult. The group is Brant Peddlers and Paddlers. So it is an organization that is, I think it used to be 50 plus maybe, or something in that age range. But anyways, there's a group of individuals and they're involved in a number of different things. I'm just having a look here: group hiking, cycling, paddling, and outdoor winter activities. So it's a fantastic group that really is trying to bring all those folks of a certain age demographic that are interested in these things and to provide opportunities. So I would say definitely check out Brant Peddlers and Paddlers. And then from an accessibility standpoint, this is something that has been very big from the Brant Waterways standpoint as well, as making sure that we're funding projects for accessibility. And we have a number of projects that we're working on. A couple as an example that I will give is river access locations. So right now it may be difficult for some folks to get into the river to enjoy a paddle. And so we're really trying to work on what that might look like to make that more accessible. And as an example, we funded a project in the county of Brant where we purchased these easy dock systems that basically just allow you to get in and out of the water much easier than normally. So those are a couple of the initiatives that I'm aware of anyways for adults and senior citizens to be active.
Thanks.
Could I speak to that as well?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so a couple things. I've actually guided the peddlers and paddlers on the river and guided hikes with them. A really awesome group of all levels of abilities. And something that I guess a future plan for the GROWE Outdoor School is that we want to bring in elders. Right now, due to the situation, we're going to wait until things are a little bit safer, but that's something that having elder mentorship, so bringing in different seniors that are interested and just want to hang out with the kids and become like an elder to them. And I know a lot of elders have a lot to teach. So Jim, if that's something you want to come hang out in the rain with the kids, you can always get in touch with me, because I'm actually looking for a few individuals that to teach the children to look after our elders and for these certain individuals to mentor our kids. Another thing I wanted to speak to that Duncan kind of mentioned was accessibility onto the river. So during my time working for Grand River Rafting, we put down, I say put down, that doesn't sound right actually. We put many people down the river, gotta finish that sentence, that have accessibility issues. And it was so heartwarming. One lady who had only one leg. And so then, okay, let's tie your crutches to the side of your raft. And the big rafts with Grand River Rafting, we put multiple people in the rafts that were in wheelchairs, and then we would bring their wheelchair around for them at the end of the river. And like, to be able to provide that experience for someone is just so heartwarming, to be able to see them to have that experience, especially on the river. So yeah, there's always ways. And my education background has to do with guiding a lot, and so that's the thing, guiding. Like, I've guided people with lots of different mobility issues and things, and so it's amazing to be able to provide that experience for someone. And a lot of people don't have, they have some fear or things like that. And so having a guide to help them navigate either down the river or into the forest really helps. So that's always an option.
Definitely. Right.
Great.
Okay. You should come.
Taylor has a question here in the chat. It says, in a session earlier this week, we chatted about connecting to play and how lots of times adults have to deprogram, so to speak, in order to reconnect to playful and curious and explorative sides of ourselves. We learned about being playful helps to live more sustainable and connected lives. What advice do you folks have for people who are intimidated by getting outside, connecting to groups, or trying new activities, or exploring new outdoor spaces? What words can you offer to encourage folks to get weird and try new things outside and outdoors?
I know what that means.
So how can we encourage people that have a hard time trying something new or are fearful of, you know, how to do that? And maybe how can we help to encourage?
That's why I'm a big advocate of, well, and that's part of my profession too, I guess, is guiding people. So a lot of times I think of a few children or adults, sometimes there's a lot of fear. So fear in the social interaction of it, of being silly, social, fear of the weather, fear of animals or things, you know, and yeah, unfortunately, adults, we tend to get, we lose our fun and our silliness as we get older. And that's part of the joy of why I love being around kids, because they help you to bring that back. And so I think of like some of the guiding I've done recently, that almost took me out of my comfort zone, and which I have, you know, that's pretty far out there. And but when you have a guide and you're out in nature, it forces you to do these things that you normally wouldn't do. Like, are you going to go, you know, down the trail and just start hugging a tree, or, you know, lay on your back and look up at the clouds? You're going to be like, oh, everyone's looking at me, I look so weird. But if you're guided to do that and you're told, no, this is what you're doing right now, and in the group, then you don't feel so silly anymore. Or if you're made to play, you know, a blindfold game in the river, and paddle your boat without seeing where you're going, or blindfolded and you have to find a tree without smashing into it, and things like that. When you're guided and told to do it, then us as adults are more apt to get silly and weird.
I love that. Duncan, Sheena, do you have any suggestions on how to help folks get weird outside? Yeah.
I would just say very quickly, you know, just get out there and just do it. Take that leap and, you know, be brave and give it a shot, and you won't be disappointed with it. I think that there's a number of groups that are in the community that if you're interested in partnering with somebody, whether it's some of the rafting outfitters as mentioned, or the cycling club, or the Grand Valley Trail Association, if hiking is your thing, whatever it may be, there's probably somebody out there. So, you know, do a little research, try to connect. People are very, very accommodating and welcoming to get into their activities. So you can reach out to somebody.
I'm just going to second what Duncan said, but if you're uncomfortable perhaps with groups, find one person that you might be comfortable to do it with. And you don't necessarily have to get weird, but just connect with one person that you feel comfortable getting outdoors with and enjoying the space, and start there, because then that person might know somebody and you can get introduced to groups and grow to get comfortable.
I love that, Sheena. So true. And also I would suggest Jane's walks are coming up, and the Sensory Trail and Brant Waterways Foundation, all different groups have participated in Jane's walks, and you can join. It's very low participatory engagement. You just walk along and listen, just like Tara was talking about guiding and mentoring. I think that is so important. So I just wanted to, I'm just going to check the chat, but I wanted to thank you all. Karen also said, just giving ourselves permission. Isn't that the truth? Just telling ourselves we have permission to do this, and we have permission as adults to play and to get outside and have fun. So I think we have a little bit of time to do a wee breakout group with some small groups and maybe have some more personal questions about, the things that we've talked about. So Taylor will be taking us, I believe, into the breakout groups at this point.